Mixtape, Snackaroo and Game Doctors. This is Staying In.
So we're recording this at the height of a heat wave, which is it unprecedented? Is anything unprecedented anymore? It's hot, basically.
It's like the hottest it's ever been at this time of year.
Fantastic.
So I think it qualifies.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about how hot it gets before on the podcast. Many episodes we've talked about that. But I'm not here to complain because the Willington-Briscombe household has invested.
Okay, so let's just talk about some previous investitures.
We've got time.
We had boxes in the freezer.
Yep.
What else? What else is it?
Which didn't work, just to be clear.
Well, I think it did work, didn't it? But just for a very short...
Very briefly.
Oh, pun intended. What else was there? Big fan? Mm-hmm. That's definitely a big fan at some point.
Do you do the thing, Pete, where you point your fan outside the window, like which magazine says you should do?
Yep. I've got the fan on right now. It's pointed right at me, and it's blowing towards... It pointed at me, and then behind me is the window, which is open, which I'm pointing that fan out of, so I'm getting double.
I just don't think that works at all. It's just one of those things like, I know science says it works, but I've tried it numerous times and...
Right. Yeah.
No.
Okay. There's all sorts, right, that I've invested in, but I think we found the investment.
You've cracked it.
Okay.
We have bought...
Oh, no.
We have bought a Ninja Creami.
Steady.
Right? So, a Ninja Creami is an ice cream maker.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because we got the one that was slightly fancier, it does... So I'm eating ice cream. It's not even ice cream. I'm actually eating froyo right now. I'm eating frozen yogurt, right?
If only there was a way of doing that before the Ninja Creami came along.
Right, sure, absolutely. But we're doing it on the cheap now because you toddle on down to the local shop, you buy a carton of Onken yogurt, right?
Yeah.
You toddle on back, which is like £1.50 or something like that. You toddle on back, you whip out the Creami, and then you get that thing whisked up real nice, turn it into ice cream through a process, freezing mostly. And
mostly, yeah.
Mostly. And then you consume said ice cream, and I have an infinite amount of this basically. As long as the yogurt keeps coming, I have enough. So basically I've been having essentially ice cream for breakfast for the last 3 or 4 days, and I don't feel terrible about it. Also, it will do slushies.
Wow. Okay.
And I can make them out of anything. I can have, if I want to, right?
Out of anything.
Out of anything.
Yeah.
Out of anything. Sam, out of anything. So, for example, I could go to, again, the little local shop. They're going to become my best friends.
God.
And
they're quids in with you, aren't they?
They're absolutely quids.
Did they sell you the Ninja as well?
Yeah. No, they didn't, but I bet they wish they had. You know those cocktail cans?
Oh, I love those.
The buzz balls.
The things that people buy on trains and drink on trains at 11 o'clock in the morning and think that that's okay. Those things, you can turn those into slushies, right?
Oh.
Right. Now you're having a fun time and getting cool at the same time and having a little buzz. So we've bought this thing, and I'm currently eating a load of ice cream to keep myself... a load of frozen yogurt to keep myself cool. Mango.
So how long until you break even, do you think?
So I did the maths.
Oh, cool. Brilliant.
I have to eat like 20 portions of ice cream, and then I break even.
Have to.
Have to.
Yeah.
I've also got... Look, I'm excited today. I'm bouncing off the walls. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm keeping cool because of my Ninja Creami. I had an incident over the weekend as well. We had a bank holiday weekend recently here in Britain, and I saw a thing at a garden centre. I saw a sign.
Okay. Yeah, with the hosts of angels.
No. It was just
okay.
It was a sign in a garden centre that read...
Oh, it was just a sign, a notice.
Yeah, it was a notice to customers. And it was on the Venus flytrap. plants. And it said, if you are not a fly, please do not set off or trigger the Venus flytraps, as this will weaken and shorten the plant's lifespan. So far, so good. Normal notice. And then underneath that, it says, if you are a fly, please ignore this message, but proceed with caution, right? A humorous little thing that they've added on there. Obviously, the fly can't. I mean, we don't know, but the fly probably can't read it, right? Probably.
We know they can smell.
We know they can smell, but we don't think they can read, right? Read English. They maybe can.
God help us if they can.
Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. But I thought it was funny, and I took a little photo of it, and I put it onto. I thought I might send it to the lads, and then I thought, no, I won't send it to the lads. I'll send it to r/CasualUK on Reddit.
This needs to get bigger.
Yeah, I thought the lads will like this, and then I thought to myself, sometimes I think if the lads will like this, I think CasualUK will like this, right? And a lot of the time I've gotten that wrong, right? But I put it on Reddit on CasualUK, just a little post, little photo, and it went massive. It went viral, basically. I think that's what you would call it. It was the number one. It's my number one post of all time. It's had 18,100 upvotes over the last 3 days. The upvote ratio is 99%, which is pretty good. It means that people mostly like it. It's had 126 comments and nearly 1 million views, right? Which is insane. Like that is ludicrous. And obviously I just like Reddit because it's my favorite social media, and because I can customize it and go and see nice things and have fun with it. And I just took a punt to put this up online. But then I was like, yay! And then I went to bed having got loads and loads and loads of upvotes. I woke up the next morning, I thought to myself, have I now basically peaked? Is that the most popular thing I will ever do? It's certainly up there. Like, I've made some pretty popular games, but have they been? Maybe they've been seen by more people than 1 million people. They must have been. But by myself, it's probably the single thing that I've done the most, like, has been seen the most, just from my own stuff.
What I've always wondered, like, when you put the post up and it starts going crazy and loads of people are upvoting it and stuff like that, like, what happens? Do you get a notification each time?
Yeah, you get notifications every like milestone of like upvotes. So like every 1,000 upvotes or every 500 upvotes. I think the milestones are smaller the less popular it is. So like you get your first 10 and it'll be like, you've got 10, hooray! And usually to me, I'm like, hooray! Because, like, I posted, like 10 upvotes. I'm like, yay, somebody saw it. It was great. But that happens. And then basically you get a notification every single time somebody replies. So every single time somebody, like, puts a, comments on it and says, oh, that's really funny. Or like, oh, Venus flytraps are actually really difficult to look after or whatever. Provoked quite an interesting conversation about Venus flytraps, which I thought was really cool. You don't get notified when someone steals it and posts it on another subreddit, which happened to me like 3 times. Like people basically like went onto 3 different subreddits and reposted the same image without credit, which I thought was like, which again, I don't really care because like I'm not making money from it. Like it's like it's not my greatest work, but like yeah, you don't get notified of that. But yeah, I mean, like my phone, like it didn't blow up because I don't have like notifications active or anything like that. But whenever I went on Reddit, it was like, oh, you've got X number of notifications. I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. I didn't respond to any of them because I was just like, I don't really care what people have got to say. I just thought it was a funny picture. But it was fun. It was cool, and it was like the rest of the Reddits I go on. It was wholesome.
You came round to my house yesterday, Sam.
I did come round to your house, and out of nowhere, in what must be one of the most proudest moments of my life, my 5-year-old son went, I brought a game for us to play. And I was like, oh, heavens.
Wow. And I thought it was going to be Beast. But no.
No, it was Snackaroo. Appropriately, a game for his age range, 6+, but it's very advanced. So Snackaroo is, I don't know whether you agree with this, Kris, but I feel it is a bit like advanced Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to render it a disservice, because Snap is a classic for a reason.
Snap is a great game, and it's long overdue a development. So this is Snackaroo. It comes to us, Rudi Biber designed this with some incredible art, actually, from Andreas Meyer, and it's published by Ravensburger, who kindly sent us a copy. Snackaroo, as I said, it just feels like advanced Snap. So everyone starts off with the same deck of cards, and on each deck of cards is an image of an animal eating a snack. Mm-hmm. And the artwork is lovely. It's like this plasticine style.
It's very Aardman.
Very Aardman. It's got that lovely handmade feel to it. And the images are slightly jokey, but also slightly parodies of the animals themselves. So, for example, the snail is not really a snail; it's a slug that just has a twirly lollipop wrapped inside of itself. And, for example, the elephant is actually an elephant, but it's got like a bendy straw for a trunk, and it's blasting out some fizzy juice. And then there's like birds who are eating like really abominable sandwiches, so their mouths are like really hyper extended, and like the imagery is really good, and it's really fun, and it's really memorable, and there is a reason for that to make the images the way that they have. So Snackaroo plays over the course of 3 different rounds. The first round is the easiest one to describe, really. It's you play with like what's called this starter deck, and you put that in the center of the card. On the starter deck are 2 images of 2 different animals that are present in everyone's deck. And then, so you turn over one of those cards in the middle, and then everyone starts turning over cards in their deck. The first player to put their hand in the middle when one of their cards matches one of the 2 animals in the middle wins that card from the middle and puts it to the side. On the back of these cards is a little +1, just to remind you that you get +1 to your score for having gotten to that animal first. And you do that until there's no animals left in the central stack. Done. Then things get a little bit more complicated. And what you have to do then is take what you've been using so far, which is a single deck of cards, split it into 2, so you've got an A deck and a B deck. And you're allowed to choose one of those decks, look at it, try and memorize what is in it, and then put it down. And then you get another deck of cards that goes into the center, turn one over, and it'll have a single image of an animal on it that is a picture of the animal but minus its snack, which is just obfuscating enough to create just a little bit more challenge when it comes to recognizing what the animals are. And then you've got to choose, right, am I going to go with stack A or stack B? Choose, right, stack B. I think I remember it being in there. Okay, fantastic. Everyone go. Start turning over cards. Someone matches, hand in the middle, wins it. Now, that person gets +1. Everyone else then has to continue going through their deck to see whether they actually chose the right deck. Because if they didn't, they've got to search through the other deck to get that card out, and that card's got a -1 on it, and then that joins your scoring pile. And then you shuffle everything together, divide your decks again, choose one, try and remember one of the piles, turn it over, and that goes on for a round. And then you do that all again, but in the third and final round, you guessed it, you've got 3 different stacks of cards which you are only allowed to look at one and try to remember what cards are in it. So it really does feel like Snack. It really does feel like Snap advanced. And there's definitely different, and with those different stages of complexity of the game, there comes a really just nice, gentle challenge to it, in which I think that, like, for me, like, me and my son have never really got past round 2. Like, that's kind of enough for him. Like, by the time we've done that, it's kind of like, you know what, he's kind of just lost sort of attention. That's just enough of a challenge for him. And then, you know, in subsequent plays, we'll probably try and get to round 3 at some point, which is something that I really like about the game in terms of giving a bit of an escalating challenge, but also you can sort of stop and just counter your score and just see what you've got. But for a game that we just played on Chris's floor, and me and my son have kind of played it together quite a few times, it's a really nice little
It's lovely.
gentle game.
Yep. 1 deck of cards as well. Yeah. I love that.
Small box?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very small.
And also, I'm not one of these people who's really good at Snap or Dobble, which I think is the other closer precursor to this, I think, Sam, to a degree. I'm not very quick as a person, typically. I'm very, very slow. What I love about this game is that it allows me to use a skill that I'm a lot better at, which is memory.
Mm-hmm.
So I can easily memorize my hand of cards and know if something's not in there or not. What I can't do is in that lightning moment match it. But at least, even if I'm not able to match cards, I know I'm not going to score negative points because I'll know I've picked the right deck. And I really, really like that aspect of the game.
Yeah. I think it definitely is doing quite a rare thing, which is kind of like, it really feels like it is flexing a muscle in a way, rather than Snap is just all about, as you said, just the quickest person to recognize a picture. Here it's like, right, you've got to memorize something and try and keep it in your head. And then when you see what the card is in the middle, try and go, right, which one of these decks is it in? And hope that you pick the right one. And I think for him, like, at that age, again, it's just the right level of challenge for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too fiddly in terms of the tactility of it. Like, he does have to handle cards, which is quite tricky for children at that age, but it's not a massive amount of cards, so it's manageable. There's obviously lots of opportunities to laugh at me because my memory's shocking, and so even when he, as Kris said, when he snaps first, he then gets delight, a second dose of delight when it comes to I'm getting a minus point in my deck as well. And then the final point of it, like, the animal art on the box is genuinely hilarious. And
what sort of visual style would you say the sort of art is?
As Sam said before, it's like Aardman style, Aardman plasticine style of animation. That's quite
So for example, to give you an example of some of the animals that you might see, so there's like a unicorn, but instead of a horn, where the unicorn's horn is, it's like an upside down ice cream cone. Cool. And then there's like I think one of my favorite ones is the hedgehog, where on the back of its back, on the spines, are little chunks of like pineapple and grapes and cheese.
Right. But am I right in saying, Sam, also it has that slightly double thing where the cards in your hand don't have the snacks on them. It's the cards that you're matching that do. So the unicorn does not have the ice cream cone on its head when it's in your hand, but the one that you're trying to match does. And it's like that double thing where you've got the image on your card, but because it's either slightly too big or too small on the thing you're matching, for a split second you don't see it. but you know it's there.
Yeah. It's the other way around. So the cards in your hands are fully formed, but the cards in the middle are minus snack. So it's just enough for you to kind of second guess when you see something. Very, very, when you're trying to recognize and pattern recognize very quickly. Like, for example, like as I said at the start, the snail or the slug that's got the twirly lollipop wrapped along its backside. Like, to you on your card, it looks like a snail, but the image in the middle is just a slug with like a missing. Like you get just like this faintest sort of like pop marks of where the snack should be. So it's just enough to make you, as you said, that double thing where you start second guessing what is outlined, what is in front of you, which is just really effective because it just evens the playing field slightly and just shows how when you have just a really solid and strong art design that plays into the mechanics of the game. Like there was a couple of times when we played it at the weekend, wasn't there, where it was just like it was Snap but it was the whale and the elephant. Because of the way they've been drawn and designed, they look slightly similar but slightly the same. And I guess it's kind of like the difference between when you're playing Snap and it's like the 5 of diamonds and the 7 of diamonds. Like it's just enough catching it and trying to be quick, where errors are just naturally just dripped in, but it's just doing it with incredible animal art.
Sam, when you came round to mine yesterday, did you know that you were walking onto a film set?
Whoa.
Well, there was all those cameras.
Yeah. And you couldn't put your finger on what it was.
I mean, after I've been through hair and makeup, I was getting slightly suspicious, but...
So, I was taking my bins out the other day. Or getting my bins... No, I was taking my bins out, and I bumped into my neighbours. I've moved into my house. I've not been in my house too long. And we were chatting. They were asking if we were settling in and stuff. And then one of them said, you know, there was a film that took place inside your house.
Oh, is this going to be a horror film?
I was like, what? So they told me the title of the film, and I Googled it and stuff, and I watched the trailer, and like 29 seconds into the trailer, I go, hang on, that's my kitchen. And it's a kids' film on Sky TV called Robin and the Hoods.
Robin and the Hoods.
So, and then obviously I bought it on Sky for 13 quid.
Yeah, obviously.
I think 7 quid or something.
Obviously.
Yeah, because you can only get it on. I actually set up a Sky account just to watch it because I was fascinated by this. And because it's a really weird sensation.
How much of your house is in it?
So the interior for that, because it's a kids' film where the kids are playing like Robin Hood in the woods nearby, and then the lead character, Robin, her home, the inside of their home is our house, basically. So when when her parents are telling her off for causing mischief, it's in our house, and then the externals for that house are our neighbour's house, really weirdly, and they repainted our neighbour's house for that. And the neighbours I spoke to, the other side, was where all the kids were kept, if that's the right word, during filming. But like, so when they're filming the outside, when she's looking out of the house at the next door's garden, it's actually our house. And Naomi Harris walks up our drive. It's just really weird. But like, basically, they repainted our kitchen for it, and then the previous owner of this house painted it to this kind of quite muted grey, which we don't like. The first thing my wife said when she watched it was, "Oh, I prefer how the kitchen looks in there." But yeah, it's just a really surreal experience.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer for it, and it does look like it's sort of set in like British suburbia.
That's where I live.
Yeah,
It's literally where I live.
That's amazing.
It's really weird.
3 stars out of 5 from The Guardian.
Yeah. We've not watched all of it. So, Sam and I have been playing another game as well, Pete, but not together.
Okay.
What?
We've recently completed, Sam told me he completed it as he was leaving my house yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Mixtape.
Okay.
Mixtape.
Now, I hear a lot about Mixtape from people people I don't trust on the internet. So
now you're huge on Reddit. I'm sure you definitely have heard about Mixtape.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
So it's a bit of a darling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what you'd call, Pete, as you often do when we talk about in indie games, actually particularly Annapurna Interactive games, what you call a laurel wreath game.
It is a laurel wreath game, isn't it? And for those who aren't aware of what my slightly sarcastic take on that is, if you go onto a Steam page and then you look on the right-hand side, there's lots of important information, like does it work on Steam Deck? That's the most important piece of information. And then blah, 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 underneath that. And then there's usually a load of... in these Laurel Wreath games, there's this awards section. And they're usually like loads and loads of awards. And, you know, lots of different things get awards. And it's lovely. And I'm not having a go at awards ceremonies or anything like that. But there are games whereby they've got like... half a dozen reviews and but on Steam, but more laurel wreaths than reviews. Now this one doesn't actually look like that's happened. This one's got like over 3,000 reviews, which means it's done very well. You can times that by roughly 50 to get approximately how many sales this thing's had. And it's got 2 awards, and they're good awards. One is Day of the Devs, which is a very, very prestigious award. And one of them is Gaming Trend, which seems fine, I'm sure. And it's got a high Open Critic score as well. So it's clearly done all right. Visually, it looks like a very laurel wreathy game. Young people, maybe dealing with feelings. Soundtrack stuff, like pictures of the time, photos of times gone by.
It's very Life is Strange.
Very the original Life is Strange. But there is also skateboarding, so I'm back on board. But this trailer doesn't really tell me what it really is. Like, is it like a Telltale-esque adventure? Is it like Life is Strange? What is it?
Yeah, it skews more towards that, and I've not played Life is Strange. It is on my list of games to play. A lot of my students keep recommending Life is Strange to me. It is a 3-hour, very much narrative-led game with essentially a series of kind of mini games within it, and they're not even really games. And I don't really want to get bogged down with that, because that seems to be a lot of the kind of criticism that people online have levied against it. I saw on YouTube that somebody had done like a 1-hour dissection of why this game isn't very good, and the game is 3 hours long, which I think is extraordinary. It's a coming of age game. Again, there's quite a lot of those set in the 90s. Again, now there's lots of games set in the 90s. I think it's about £13 online. I've just finished Ghost of Yotai. I just really want quick games that are cheap at the moment, that look like they're pretty robust. It's set in the fictional town of Blue Moon in Northern California in the late 1990s. So when us lot were about 5 years old, for example, it follows the last day of 3 friends together before they kind of go their separate ways. They've just finished school essentially, and it's building to them going to an illegal party that a friend of a friend is kind of hosting on the beach at the end of the day. And it's basically about the 3 of them reminiscing and getting ready for that party. And it's told primarily through the eyes of Stacey Rockford, who has this very highly idealistic view that they're going to get on the plane to New York the next day, and go and find a job as a music producer, because that's the job they've always wanted to have, like in their mind's eye.
Well,
like
not specifically music producer. Well, not a music producer, specifically a music supervisor.
Music supervisor, yes, they want to work with a music producer, but it's as a stepping stone for that, because for them, they like to have a soundtrack for everything. So this last day, in advance, they've soundtracked it all, what songs will occur at certain beats throughout the day, and that's kind of what you're playing through each level. Stacey will turn to the camera and say, this is such and such, this is a seminal track, da 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 da. It really captures the mood for this particular atmosphere, almost like a DJ, and then we cut back to the game. And the way the developers approached it, so this comes from Johnny Galvatron of the company Beethoven and Dinosaur. They basically put together, they found tracks they wanted to use, and they kind of put it together in a kind of an order that would make narrative sense, almost makes it kind of operatic, really. And the way it begins, it's so funky. You've got a track from Devo at the beginning where you're skateboarding down the hillside and she's clapping along to it, the instances as you're skating down there. So it just feels like a series of music videos kind of joined together there. And because of that, you kind of get lost in this kind of magical realism of Stacey's head, where sometimes her and the characters are just floating through air, because I suppose that's what it feels like. But they're three characters who are kind of like a little bit trying to be a bit alternative and fringy. There's a kind of, they have that kind of Bill and Ted kind of way of speaking, and almost to the point of irritation, I think, at times. But that sensibility reminds me a lot of some of the students I encounter, because I teach in university, and every year I meet a batch of students who've just come out of school who are trying to make a name for themselves, or trying to find themselves, or want for a better word. So I think in part what attracts me to this game is that sense of being 17, 18, and not a feeling that my life was ahead of me. There was possibility there, but also there's possibility there. There's a kind of an anxiety that comes with that, which I think the game does capture quite well to an extent. Yeah. But I really, really like the game, but I don't think it's not something that will stay with me as long as perhaps it has done for other people, let's say. But I had a perfectly pleasant time for the 3.5 hours I played of it, and I would generally just replay chapters, a little bit like Sayonara Wild Hearts, where it's that rhythm action almost of it. There'll be certain tracks I will go through and replay. There's one track, for example, which really shows the influences for this game. They are very much influenced by the cinema of John Hughes. There's literally one level which is straight out of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, for example. So it has that kind of vibe there, but I'm not quite overly clear if it's a really heartfelt game that's really got really good intentions, or at times it feels like it's enjoying the smell of its own fart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at reviews here, and I will say, I will treat this with caution, because I think Steam reviews are one of those things whereby some people can be very have their own agendas, let's say, when they're providing reviews, like review bombing and things like that. But if I look at like the kind of general discussion of this, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of is the idea that this isn't actually a very good portrayal of the 90s or being a kid in the 90s. Now, I think that's really difficult to say, because obviously, like, Steam is a global platform, and so people saying like, oh well, it was like this in America, or oh, it was like this in Britain. Like, I know what the 90s was like to live through as a kid in Britain, and I would say that the visuals that I'm seeing here do not match up with that, because I assume it's based in the United States or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I think that's fine, but there does seem like a bit of a thread on this of there's not that much gameplay, and it feels a bit fake. It feels a bit like forced in some ways.
I mean, I don't think we should get dragged really into the discourse.
Oh, is there a discourse that is that then?
Oh, loads.
Yeah, so
right.
So it's basically this has dragged up the whole what is a game, and if we're not going for a high score, then what's the point?
What's the point?
And
yeah, sure.
it's the whole Dear Esther discussion again, as we brought up,
which really irritates me.
In terms of my reading of the game, I very much see it as a piece of fantasy, and I think the way I look upon the game is the way that I saw American culture as an outside observer in the 90s,
right?
And that it was this fantastical landscape where the kids had all this like amazing freedom and access to like independence, and could stand up to their parents, and could smoke and could drink and jump from garden to garden and run over yards, and like it just seemed like this wonderful haven for children. And I remember like growing up, like that's what America looked like to me.
As in through like Dawson's Creek and through like those
like Boy Meets World, Malcolm in the Middle, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, John Hughes movies.
It really
Breakfast
looks
Club.
Like
yeah, Breakfast Club, like that era, and growing up and just thinking like America just looks like the coolest, most brilliant place.
Yeah.
Like it's built for kids, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think some of that, like reading a bit like what the developer, who I think is Australian.
Yeah, that's correct.
Also viewed I think he came out and said they wanted to make a fantasy game about growing up, and if you're going to do that anywhere, then you're going to set it in America in the 90s around this sort of period of time. So that is the kind of lens that I viewed it through. And for me, that really made it strike home a lot in terms of that. Like I was Stacey. Like Stacey is actually quite all right. Don't say yes too quickly. Like Stacey is actually
in a nice way.
I don't think. Well, Stacey is actually like a really annoying like central character, right? She's exceptionally annoying. She's very, very forthright.
Okay.
Knows exactly what she wants in life, and knows what's best for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds like you.
And so the character of Stacey is often like talking to the camera, talking to her friends, coming across as very knowledgeable, specifically about music, about how things have to be a very, very particular way, and the music has to be very, very particular, and this all has to be done in this way, and it's like her way or the highway, and she's tearing apart this friendship just for her own personal goals.
Mm-hmm.
But every time she puts on a track, by God, it's just annoyingly exactly the right track every single
amazing
time.
It is so good. The
And
needle
it's-
drops are
for me, it's that moment, it's that exploration of just that self-assuredness that you have, particularly around that age, you know, just as you leave school, just as you're going into university, that particular level of confidence in what you know.
I remember being a student, particularly my first year at uni, and thinking, you know, that you're somehow like the big all I am, basically. But I think there's a real vulnerability to Stacey as well. There's something about a person who lives solely with their headphones on. They never take them off really at all. And they like to live in, there's this sense of like control that if I know the soundtrack, I know everything that's going to happen, all these social interactions. You know, there's nothing that can go wrong because I picked the right music. But what happens then if things don't go to plan and the music you've got planned never gets played? I think there's something really interesting there, how she also has that inherent fragility that is, she's only literally propped up by her headphones, I would say.
And I think the other brilliant trick that the game plays is that there is always a direct correlation between the moments of activity and then the music that's getting played. So there's always a direct line between, right, there's music being played and then the game is asking you for interactivity at that point to also get you to invest in that moment emotionally.
Now that is the bit that I'll pick you up on. The game is also asking for interactivity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, a game is defined by its interactivity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Sam's right. You can do that. You can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it sounds to me like the interactivity is playing second fiddle.
No, I disagree. I think it has a hand-in-glove relationship, and I think this is part of the aforementioned criticism that some people are levied at it, is that it doesn't have much interaction. So, for example, there is a sequence where you are fleeing from the cops from a party, I think it is, and you're doing one of the three friends has passed out, so they put her in a shopping trolley, and there's a high-speed chase in the trolley as you're moving down there, put to a banging soundtrack on music. The interactivity is how you move the trolley, but as some reviewers are snarkily showing when they put their controller on the desk when they're doing the playthrough, you get to the bottom regardless, but you feel as if anything can happen in that moment. It's almost like you're literally on rails as you're moving down, but just pivoting left and right.
So as a question then, why wouldn't you just watch a YouTube playthrough of this?
You could.
Like genuinely, like, and that's not me being facetious. Like, and let me explain for a second. From my side of things, when I play like a tabletop role-playing game, for example, if I feel like somebody is railroading me, and actually I have to basically just make the one choice that the GM wants me to take, that to me doesn't feel very fun. That doesn't to me doesn't lean into what the mediums I should say of games, that interactivity, that choice that one has, that doesn't lean into that aspect of the art forms, right? So why, if you can just put the controller down for this sequence, why wouldn't you just watch this on YouTube?
Because every interaction,
yeah,
okay, feeds into that story. So, and this is mild spoilers for part of the game, so I do apologise. Okay. But there is a part of the game where you are in a photo booth,
mm-hmm.
and you are controlling two people in a photo booth with analog sticks, right?
Yep.
And depending on how you move those analog sticks, they get closer to each other, they get further away from the camera, they get more exaggerated in what they're doing, a bit sillier, or they go a bit serious. Okay,
that's cool.
Fine. So if you could just not press anything, and it just takes the photos, and they just stay stock still, and you listen to some nice music, and that is it.
Yep.
But the moment you start moving them as people and as characters in the game, suddenly the game is asking you to contribute to the story. How close are they in this moment?
That's great.
How intimate are they being with each other? Are they being silly? Are they being close? Is there an attraction, or is there not an attraction? And it's up for you to decide in that moment how you want that scene to play out and how you want that to be communicated.
And that sounds fantastic. That, to me, I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But if I can put my controller down during a trolley escape, and I'm always going to escape, are you really interacting with the story in that way? Like, for example, there are cutscenes in high action games, right? Like Vanquish has cutscenes, right? But the point is that the majority of the game is interaction, and then there is a moment of non-interaction. It sounds to me like this is an uneven game. Like, that photo booth sequence that you're talking about, that sounds really cool. I'd actually love to see that and play that bit. The bit with the trolley, where it doesn't really matter what you do, that to me sounds like getting high off your own supply.
But then that's okay in Uncharted, but why isn't it okay here?
Because in Uncharted, there's a ton of interactivity, right? There's a ton of moment-to-moment play that's happening, Whereas if you hand the controls over to somebody for a brief window of time and say, okay, now you get to do something, but actually you don't, that to me says you could have just made that a cutscene as well, right? In every situation in which in which games get made, an author has basically said, this is the point in which I want you to do something, right? Whether that's sit there and watch or actually invest and do something here, right? So there's definitely moments in Uncharted, for example, whereby basically you're always gonna do the thing, or the game so pushes you in the right direction that it's almost impossible for you to fail. Like, you'd have to try really hard to fail. And I would say those bits are the worst bits of Uncharted. Those bits whereby you don't actually feel as if you're genuinely helping Nathan get through the falling train, for example, that can feel really weak. Whereas this is the moment that's expressed there of this trolley is a very obviously it's a very specific thing. I don't want to say like the whole game is like this, because obviously I've not played it, and it sounds like this isn't the case. But in the moment in which the author is saying, now I want you to interact with this and help me tell this story, you aren't. It's like a bad choice. I just want to say, like, I'm actually really interested in playing this now. Like genuinely, like I think for me, part of it is this, from what I'm hearing, like there is this controversy around it, and actually that kind of interests me more. Like the fact that, like, if it had just been these sort of like mini game stuff, what's it called, Hugo the Troll, and those, or like in Indigo Prophecy with, like, press X to not die, and Dragon's Lair and stuff like that. If it had been that, I think I'd be immediately like happy to just write this off entirely. But but you mentioned there, like, skipping stones, for example. That's cool. Like that to me feels like an interaction I'd be really interested in seeing. And the fact that you're having like a really emotional response to this, that can't be ignored. Like regardless of whether or not it's got like the levels of interactivity I think people have come to expect, or perhaps I've set a sort of expectation around. In some ways it doesn't matter, because if it's made you feel something, it's kind of done the right thing ultimately.
And just to add a bit of finality to this, I think if you're gonna put a controller down just to see what happens in a moment of a game, then you're coming at it from a very, very, very bad.
I agree.
Place.
I agree.
And intentions, because I've never done that in my life just to see if is there really any point to this. I've just kind of taken the developers' best intentions at heart, that they know what they're doing in this moment, and not felt the need to actually stress test a game or to find something to rail against it for whatever reason. So if you'd never said that, I would have never known. And
there is a it sounds like this is the kind of product that you could go with. Like, a great example, actually, Dark Souls is a really good example of the opposite side of this, right? I could go into Dark Souls and go, well, this is really hard. Like, how on earth are you meant to finish this? Like, I found this really, really difficult, and like, how could I possibly know what to do? I never talked with anybody about it, or found out, or looked at a FAQ or anything along those lines, and I'm no good at combat. You could go into that game with a bad faith argument, going, this is going to be too hard, in the same way that you could do that with any hard game, right? But you're kind of approaching it in a way that the author has not, or the authors have not intended you to experience it, right? Like, in the same way that you can do that with a walking simulator, or something like Mixtape. Like, you can take it, you can say, well, I'm, it's hardly R-Type, isn't it? It's like, it's not meant to be that. So turns out the medium of video games pretty broad now. Okay, I want to round things out with an incredible discussion that will last at least 45 minutes.
Is this you and the glue?
It is me and the glue.
So if you go onto our Instagram page, you'll have to skip through some bobbins from UKGE, but eventually what you'll do is you'll get to see a picture of Pete with some Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, lots of it.
Yeah. Yep. So I was documenting my progress on the Game Doctor's Descent 2nd Edition board game insert, which, obviously this isn't going to be a massive, please stick around till the end of the podcast, listener. This is going to be a massive, review or anything like that. It's basically an insert that you put into a board game, and I've had Descent 2nd Edition since 2014 or something like that. I've only played 2 or 3 games of it, and basically I realised, well, this is a fully painted set. I really want to play this more, and I thought to myself, having, as we talked about on the last episode, why am I not playing this thing? And I realised that a lot of the games that I'm not playing are because there's some level of friction to them, right? So Descent in this instance the friction is setup time. It is a really big game to set up. It takes a really long time to set up. It's difficult to get people around to actually play this thing and actually say, hey, can we get 2 or 3 people, 4 people, 5 people to sit around and play this dungeon delving game? There's 20 quests. But more than that, just setting the thing up, right? Getting all the little tokens out and making sure the cards are in the right places, all that. It's a faff. And so I decided to get an insert. So I was ordering something from a company called Feldherr, which we've talked about before, I think. Which is basically I think they made their names with basically storage cases of foam, packed foam, so you could store miniatures in. And one of the things that they're selling at the moment is Game Doctor's stuff. I don't know if that's a sub brand or something, or if it's another company, but basically they are MDF inserts for board games, and they're still selling them even for Descent 2nd Edition, which there's a 3rd edition now, which isn't very good from what I've heard, and it's just been cancelled. But I've got 2nd edition, right? And they're still selling those things. And I just wanted to say, I bought it. I had a good time building it. Genuinely, I actually enjoyed it reminded me of building airfix planes.
Lovely.
Following maybe a little bit like Lego, but with glue. Following a process, following okay, put this here and make sure you sit and read this beforehand, because if you get it wrong, you're gluing stuff with wood glue, so if it goes wrong, it's going to go real wrong real quick. I really enjoyed the 4 hours that it took me to in total to sit down and actually just build this thing out over the course of 4 hours with a set of wood glue, some paper towels, and a little instruction sheet, and it was lovely. And you can go and see my finished article up on Instagram. It was a really lovely way to spend a bit of time with the hope that at some point that will mean I can actually speed up getting this game to the table, and actually enjoy this thing that's been sat there for over a decade and not really being played.
I think inserts do make a massive difference, and there is a bit of, when you think about fantasy shelves and that sort of wish fulfillment of, this is the stuff I've got on my list that I really want to play more of. Oh, I know the answer, I'll spend some more money. It kind of does feel a bit counterintuitive, but as someone who has recently sleeved and built an insert for Twilight Imperium 4th edition, I can attest to how remarkable it makes setting up one of the most complex games that I own. But the question I had was, so this is wood.
Yep.
I've exclusively only used inserts from Folded Space, which is another good company, but they use, I don't know quite what the material is they use, but it's kind of like a spongy, not quite plastic, but it's like a really
almost foam, isn't it?
like a really sort of robust foam that they use to build their inserts. It just PVA glue them together, and that's about it. So how did it compare the wood versus the foam?
Well, one, it's a hell of a lot heavier. So Descent now is a very heavy game, right? Not BGG heavy. I mean physics heavy, right? So popping it up on the top shelf, pride of place is like a bit of a workout now, right? So there's that. The smell. So I actually really I generally don't like MDF stuff, because whenever you go to like a war games convention, there'll be like one of these big MDF suppliers, right? So like names escape me, but like there's a few like MDF terrain companies, for example, and you walk past their stalls and they smell like DT. Basically, they smell like DT in
or a garden centre
in year 9 of school, right? Like design technology. Yeah, or a garden centre or something like that, because it smells of MDF, and MDF has a very specific, slightly chemically sort of unnatural, natural smell, and it does have that, right? Because it's MDF, but it's not bad. It doesn't like stink the place out or anything like that. And then beyond that, it just feels really, when you get like, when you might pick up like a cheap mobile phone, and then you pick up an expensive mobile phone, and even though the visual design might be really, really similar, when you touch same with controllers actually as well, games controllers, when you touch the materials, there's a quality that more expensive or better put together or more premium materials kind of come with. And I'm not saying that like this is better than Folded Spaces stuff, because I mean that would be silly. Like there isn't that much in terms of MDF as a harder, heavier substance doesn't necessarily have anything better than a foam to it, right? In some instances I'm sure it's worse. In some instances I think it's better. Yeah. But there is this like tactility of this feels proper, right? And that might not be, I don't know if that's like a quality you actually want, but it is cool to put together. Yeah, it does also feel sturdier in that way.
Because I got the wooden inserts. I can't remember the name of the company for War of the Ring. Because likewise, as Sam was saying, like the speed now of setting that game up is so much quicker. Yeah. But the problem with that is that it's made the wear and tear of my box a little bit more. I'm more aware of that, let's say, like because there's so much weight now in there, the kind of movements of it in the corners and things, it wears quite a bit. I'm a little bit more precious about that. But like the actual, I'm not so much precious when I'm putting the inserts in as I am, say, a Folded Space, because it's got a little bit more of a robust quality to it there. And I don't think I would get wooden inserts every game I own, not just because of the weight factor, but literally I feel like it's a hell of an investment, and I don't really want to get it for those games which are the weightiest in terms of setup time ultimately.
Yeah, I would definitely consider it again, like for sure. I think they're really, I'd say, really well put together. The instructions are great, etc., etc., etc. But you're right, and I wouldn't consider it for anything that was slightly frivolous. Like, so you can get them for like
Snackaroo,
Seven Wonders, and Istanbul and stuff like that. And I'm like, nah. Like that's not worth it. But something that's like mighty, and you're like, I really want to speed this up, and I really want this to be a premium experience. I would say I would definitely consider it again.
Okay, so I mean, I really like what Sam proffered in the end of the last episode. What did we learn today?
We learned that I have a great opportunity with my knowledge of how to game Reddit and my new Ninja Creami. There is a social media firestorm that I can wreak upon the world at some point with Will It Blend?
I mean, Will It Blend was a craze from about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I've missed the train. on that
You've
one.
definitely missed a train on that one. I can't remember what the unit was called. But
I do like the fact that the curse of your travel enters into the realm of metaphors as well as literal travel.
There was Will It Blend was, it probably still is going, but it was so popular at the time that whenever a new piece of tech got released, the first thing that everyone would always be waiting for is this guy on YouTube and going, right, will it blend? So like and this is like the time when the iPad was being released and the iPhone, and basically the guy would just buy up all this like really expensive tech and then blend it, and it was on YouTube, a massive hit. Go on.
Right. Okay. So I'm out on that.
Well, no, because I think creaming it is you're adding something which the Will It Blend guy didn't have, which was taste.
Yeah. And a very specific taste, onken yogurt.
Okay, so we've learned that. We've learned that we shouldn't listen to discourse, except for sometimes we should. Like, I don't know.
Don't worry about the numbers attributed to something.
Just don't. Yeah.
Enjoy the roller coaster.
Or enjoy it, or don't. But shut up. Basically.
I just
enjoy it or don't.
I just looked at the latest Will It Blend, and it's Will It Blend Mandalorian Season 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. Will It Blend Pokemon? So, we've learned that children are very good at picking board games.
They are very good at picking board games. Unbeknownst to me, very, very good at picking board games, and Snackaroo is one they picked. And we've also learnt that inserts are great.
Yep. Whether they be wood or foam.
Or 3D printed plastic.
Yes.
Lest we forget of the incredible insert for Anno 1800, which is pretty much not unplayable, but it's impractical without an additional €40 insert that I bought for it. So if you've got an idea for something that Peter Willington can cream, then
be very careful.
Can you send an email with the subject line "Creamy Willington"?
Yep, and he will check if he can buy it from his local shop.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he will cream it, and then he will describe the taste, and then you've got to guess what he's creamed.
I reserve the right to not do any of that, but do let me know on stayinginpod@gmail.com for creamy related recipes.
Is it a recipe if it's just one thing that goes into it?
Yeah. You've got to do a process, haven't you?
All right.
Yeah, okay. We can share with you. You can see pictures of Peter's glue and see some pictures from UKGE. They should be up by now.
I can't wait to see the pictures from UK Games Expo. I'm very jealous of you two going out there. I might send you some money and get you to buy something fun.
Okay, for you or for
on your journeys? Don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. I'm gonna have a think about it.
Okay, brilliant.
I quite like the idea of finding something interesting and fun. But yeah, I can't wait to see those. I'll see those on Instagram at StayingInPod.
That's what I was just about to get to. Yeah, and what else is there? There is it's going to be very, very difficult for Chris.
It's going to be very difficult, Sam,
with the Spotify playlist to pick one of the incredible tracks that is on the Spotify mixtape, which is on the playlist for Mixtape. Because you could just listen to the whole playlist.
It is. I've been listening to
Spotify.
it non-stop. You can actually add. I might just add the playlist to our playlist as its own separate thing because it is just absolutely banging.
Yeah, it is a banging soundtrack. Links to all that are in the show notes. So if you're interested. And that is about that.
Take care.